So welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. So basically I've called this a pelvic floor and Pilates class because we're going to do a little bit of both. But first off, for those of you that don't know me, because you may have all of a sudden just seen my link and clicked on it and thought, oh, we'll give it a go. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Chloe. I am a qualified pelvic health physio. I have been doing pelvic health since 2019 after the birth of my daughter. So I got into it because of the general lack of care that we have for women's health and pelvic health, and just thought, let's do something about it. And then I decided to turn it a bit more online. So I have been a physio since 2009. I've been a Pilates instructor since, 2015. And when I then went into pelvic health as well, the two of them merged together, and it just seemed to be the thing that worked. Heather, I'm just going to keep muting you because you keep coming off mute. So bear with me. I'm just going to mute you now, and that's you nice and quiet. So what I've realised with pelvic health and Pilates is the two of them merge together quite nicely. I always say that the pelvic floor is never just the pelvic floor, that you need to have strength around your hips and your pelvis in order to settle your pelvic floor. So why listen to me? Because I actually care, because I'm a massive geek about these things, and because I kind of go a little bit out of my way to make sure that you get what you should get from pelvic health physios. Where I am locally, there are a lot of people that just don't seem to care as much as they should. Let's put it that way. So with that in mind, let's begin. So make sure you've got a little bit of space. Make sure you've got a little bit of room to move, and a little hand towel as well. So I've got my mat and a towel and everything set out, but you can do this on a bed. You don't need to get on the floor. A bed is absolutely fine. We're going to just run through some movements. Now, just to put in that disclaimer, I can't see all of you. There's too many of you for me to see. So if something doesn't feel right, if something hurts, if you're not comfortable doing it, stop. Please do not keep going because I've said, oh, we're doing this next. I want you to really listen to your body and take it steady. We're not going to do anything that pushes you too hard. We're very much going to be working on the foundations of Pilates, really, and that's what we build on. So everything's going to seem very gentle and slow and controlled because it's all about that mind-body connection. I want you to be aware of when I say put your leg in this position, you go, okay, yeah, I'm thinking about it with what I'm doing. So the biggest thing is if it doesn't feel right, if it hurts, if you're not happy with it, stop. Okay, right, I've put it out there. So first off, we are going to go on to hands and knees. So if your knees are a bit sore and you're on the floor, you could get a couple of cushions just to pop underneath them. This exercise is quite a common one. Lots of physios like to give this exercise out because it's a really good mobility exercise. What I'm aiming to do is get some movement happening in your rib cage, mainly because if you don't have movement in your rib cage, that means you're not breathing fully, which means you're not using your diaphragm, which means you're not going to use your pelvic floor properly. So, hand and knee position. Just to set yourself up, you want your knees directly below your hips and then your feet just out. Don't have those toes pointing together, just have everything nice and in line. Now your hands are very slightly wider than your shoulders and very slightly in front. Now, in this position, I don't want you to drop your head. I don't want you to sag your belly. What we're going to do is, I call this happy cat, angry cat. Some people call it cow, camel, cat, camel. I like happy cat, angry cat. So first off, what I want you to do is tuck that bottom under, chin onto chest. That's an in-breath here. And then with your out-breath, I want you to sink your belly down, stick your bum out and lift your head up. Out-breath here. And then an in-breath, tuck that bottom under, chin on chest. And then out-breath, sink that belly down, lift your head up, stick your bum out. So let's just do a few more of those. Just feel that movement a little bit. In breath as you come up, and then out breath as you sink back down. And when you're arching your back, I want you to push the floor, the bed, whatever you're doing on, away from you. So just in breath here, and then out breath as you come down. And what you might feel is, hopefully what you might feel, is that you've got a bit more movement. And then we'll do the last one here. And come back up. Lovely. So, the next position I want to get you in. So this is called a Z position with your legs. Now, I know for some of you, you might be looking at me going, what on earth? I cannot get myself in this position. If you're struggling with this position, you can cross your legs. If that's still tricky, you can sit on the sofa, sit on the side of the bed. So I'm going to show it you in a Z position. So I've got one leg in front and one slightly behind. If this is uncomfortable on your hips, don't stay in it, come out of it. Now, I want you to imagine you've got someone in front of you and you're giving them a big hug. So your arms are like this. On the knee that's in front, we're going to drop this hand down and lean over. Here's your in-breath. Your out-breath, I'm going to turn you all into ballet dancers, and you're going to tuck one arm underneath and come here for an in-breath. This is probably going to feel quite stiff. So it's an out-breath as you move, and then an in-breath as you're pausing. Now, where I'm feeling this, all down this side, to be honest with you. Ballet dancer the other way, hold for the in-breath. What you might also get is some popping happening in your back, and it might just generally feel a little bit awkward. I'm stretching muscles that get overworked quite a lot. In-breath here, and then out-breath as we come up. So we'll do one more ballet dancer way. I just feel that we need to have graceful arms when we do this. Out breath, and then an in breath. So what are we trying to do is just stretch all of those muscles around the ribs. And come up, and the other way. Okay, good. Straighten up. So change positions with your legs. So if you've crossed your legs, you're going to just cross them the other way. If you're Z position like me, just switch those legs around. But if you're sat on a chair, stay where you are and just put those feet flat. So the leg in front, big hug. We're going to put that arm down, lean over here with our in-breath. And then out-breath as you come over, and then ballet dancer, and come round. Hold for the in, out-breath, come up. Pop that arm down, come over. I hope everyone can feel that big stretch happening. So it's a really good one to get all of those back muscles going. I can feel it here as well as down in my back. Hold for that in, and then out breath, move over. And you're holding for an in-breath. There is a reason for this madness. I'm not just making you do some weird arm movements. And come over. Out breath as you move, remember. In breath as you hold. And then we'll do one more. Come over. Out breath. Last movement here. Just ballet dancing those arms. And come on up. Okay, so we're working all of this. Just unpeel your legs. Now, what we're doing now is having a lie onto our sides. Finally, getting to lie down. So, if you have got a towel or a cushion, this would be a good time just to pop it down. But I want you to bend the arm if it's comfortable. Place your head on it. And your legs are just stacked on top of each other. So my leg positions, my hips are just stacked on top of each other, my knees are in front, my heels are in line, everything is nice and relaxed. We're not moving anything from the pelvis down. My top hand, I've just popped it on the back of my head. So my elbow at the minute is pointing up towards the ceiling. I'm going to do a breath in. With my breath out, I'm just going to twist backwards, and the movements from my ribs as I rotate back, and then in breath, bring it back. So this movement here isn't just the elbow flying back, it's that rotation back, using that rib cage, and then bring it back. Now, it's all about keeping that pelvis nice and still. What I don't want you to do is roll back on those hips, because you stop the movement around the ribs and you start doing everything at the pelvis. So it's a breath in here, breath out as you rotate, and then an in breath as you bring it back. And I want you to really think that it's the movement of the ribs that we're trying to do here. You may also feel a little bit of a stretch happening in your chest movement. Chest muscle. I just want you to nudge into that stiffness. Now with this next one, what I'd like you to do, we're going to do that breath in, breath out, rotate, move those ribs over, hold it here for an in breath, and then can you just get a little bit more when you do another out breath? And then bring it back. So out breath as we first move, pause there for an in breath, and then out breath, nudge it just a little bit more, and bring it back. Let's do one more of those. We'll do in breath, out breath as we rotate, hold it for an in, and then out breath as you move again, and bring it back. Right, let's make sure you don't stay wonky. Let's flip it over to the other side. So, rolling to the other side, just using a towel or a cushion to rest my head on. Just a little bit of a reset. Hips are on top, knees are in front, heels are in line. Everything's nice and relaxed from the pelvis down. Back of I was like, what am I here? Hand, back of the head. We're going to do an in breath and then a breath out. Remember that movements from the ribs as you rotate back. And then in breath as you bring it back again. So keep thinking it's not just your elbow going back, it's your rib cage that we're trying to move here. So it's that twist happening through the ribs, pelvis stays nice and still. And we're doing that movement on an out breath. Pilates generally is the effort, or the hardest bit of the exercise is that out breath. Okay, let's do one more. Bring it back. So now with this one, we're going to do that breath in, breath out, rotate as far as you feel comfortable. Hold it for an in breath. And with your out breath, can you nudge that a little bit further? And then bring it back. And we'll try that one again. So we'll do the breath in here, breath out, rotate. Think of those rib cage that we're trying to move here. Hold for the in breath, out breath, rotate, just push a bit more. And then bring it back. In breath, out breath, rotate. Think about those ribs moving the whole time. In breath, and then out breath, nudge it a little bit further. Lovely. And come back to the centre. Right then, have a lie onto your backs now. So, have a lie onto your back, knees bent. Just lie down. So, an important part whenever we work with our, do you know what, I'm going to sit up and explain this to you. You guys have a lie down after all that fun. Important part of working with your pelvic floor is your diaphragm and getting movement in your rib cage. So what we've just done is a lot of lovely movement through your rib cage. What I'm now going to do is go through breathing with you to use your diaphragm. If we're not using our diaphragm, here is your pelvis. This is your pelvic floor. This is your diaphragm. If you're not using your diaphragm, you're not using something that helps facilitate your pelvic floor. So as you do a breath in, your pelvic floor, your diaphragm pushes down. on your pelvic floor. As you do a breath in, your breath out, sorry, I do know what I'm doing. It's been a long day. Let me reset. Right, pelvic floor, diaphragm. As you do a breath in, you push down on your pelvic floor. So your diaphragm lowers to let your lungs fill up with air and your rib cage widens. As you do a breath out, your diaphragm lifts and so does your pelvic floor. That's why when we do a pelvic floor contraction, it should always be on the breath out. If you try and do it on the breath in, you're just trying to set yourself up to fail because it will be pushing down on that pelvic floor. So what we're going to do now is just run through a breathing technique. It's one of my favourite techniques that my good friend Natalie, who is a breathwork coach, taught me, and since then I love it. So if everybody would like to have a lie onto their backs with their knees bent, just get yourself in a comfortable position. And we're just going to breathe for a little bit. However, I want you to be mindful about this breathing. So I want you to put one hand on your chest and another hand around where your belly button is. And have a little bit of a reset. So I do this a lot in my classes. Is your jaw nice and relaxed? Are your neck and shoulders nice and relaxed? Are we breathing with our diaphragm? So I call it belly breathing. What I'd like you to do is do a breath in for a count of 4 through your nose and out for a count of 4 through your nose. So it's when you're taking that breath in, I want you to visualize that air going right down to the bottom of the lungs. I want you to think about your rib cage widening away from you. You're not lifting your shoulders up to your ears as you breathe. So we're going to do a breath in for that count of 4 and out for a count of 4. Now carry on with that. Let me sit up and explain something to you. So we're going to breathe in for 4. With that breath, think about it going right down to the bottom of the lungs. Think about your rib cage going wider. You're not lifting your shoulders up by your ears. And it might be that when you get to 3, you think, blimey heck, I can't get to 4 with the breath in. I'm struggling. Keep going with it. If you are prone to not using your diaphragm day to day, which quite a lot of us do, unfortunately, it will take a little bit of time for your brain to kick in and go, oh, okay, you want me to use my diaphragm. Okay, give me a second. So breath in for 4 and out for 4. Now, the reasons you've got your hands positioned, I want you just to be aware of which hand moves more. Does the hand at the top near your head move more, or does the hand near your belly button move more? What I'd really like everyone to say is the hand near the belly button moves more, because I want your tummy to go nice and soft as you're doing that breathing, and everything's nice and relaxed. So you do that breath in for 4, it goes all the way down to the bottom of the lungs, it widens your ribcage and your belly's nice and soft. And then you breathe out for a count of 4. Okay. So I'm hoping the breathing is going as it should do and you're all nice and zened. We're going to come on to the pelvic floor side of stuff now. So this is going to get your brains going a little bit. Right, so I'm going to get my model out because it's a little bit easier. And let me shimmy myself a bit closer so you can see. So this is your pelvis. Imagine this is my pelvis and I'm straight at you. Now, there's 2 different ways I teach a pelvic floor contraction that seem to work quite well in my classes. The first one is called a diamond pull-up. So a little bit of an imagination needs to be used for this one. So if I just tilt you very slightly here. So this is now you looking straight down on your pelvis. And if you can see, hopefully, you've got the front part of your tailbone, the front part of your pubic bone, and the inside parts of your hip bones. Imagine they make up a diamond shape. What I'd like you to try and do is cinch those points all together and then imagine them pulling up towards your head. Now, if you've not done pelvic floor exercises for a while, or you've never really done them, first off, you're probably going to do a lot of concentration faces going, am I doing what now? So we'll do a little practice of this one, and we do it on a breath out. So you're just going to do a lovely breath in. Everything's nice and soft with your tummy. On that breath out, cinch together and pull up. Now, you may find this easier lying on your back with your knees bent. Gets rid of gravity, lets your belly go all soft. Also, you're less likely to cheat with your bum because your bum will try and squeeze. So, the diamond pull-up. Imagine those inside points of your pelvis. You're going to do a breath in, breath out, bring those points together, pull them up to your head, and then just let them go. So that one's the diamond pull-up. The next one is called the wink and zip. So this is where we start from behind. So the wink is you closing your anal sphincter. So that's closing your bum hole. And the zip is pulling it forward and up. So when you close your anal sphincter, it's as if you're trying not to pass wind, but you don't want anyone to know. So you're not doing a big bum squeeze. You're just closing your anal sphincter very subtly so nobody knows. And then you're pulling it forward and up, and then you let it go. So you're probably going, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm doing any of this. I generally find that you're one or the other. Now that I've explained it, what I'd like us to do is have a lie back down again. We're going to go through that reset because everything has to be nice and relaxed before we do this. Because there's no point us trying to switch on a pelvic floor that's already quite tight. It needs to be nice and long so then you feel that contraction. So let's have a lie down. Lying onto your backs with your knees bent. And I'm just going to run through that reset with you. So arms down by your side this time. Everything nice and relaxed. There's zero pressure here. We're just going to make sure our jaw is nice and relaxed. We're going to relax our neck and shoulders. We're going to go into that 4-4 breathing. So I want you to breathe in for a count of 4. And then out for a count of 4. And then when you do that breath in for a count of 4, what I want you to imagine is that air is going all the way down to the bottom of the lungs. Your rib cage is widening outwards and your belly is nice and soft. And then we do that breath out. And another thing I want you to imagine is just softening through that pelvis. So you're softening through that pelvic floor. If you imagine it's up around your belly button, we're just going to let it relax. So relax all of that pelvic floor. And let's just do a couple of those breath cycles. And then we're going to try and pull up. So nice and relaxed. Relax that jaw. Relax your neck and shoulders. Making sure we're belly breathing. Our belly's nice and soft. Our air's going all the way down to the bottom of the lungs. Our rib cage is getting wider. On your next breath out, I want you to try and do that diamond pull-up. So we're going to do a lovely breath in. And then with that breath out, just think of all those points of your pelvis meeting together and pulling up towards your head. And then just let them go again. We're not holding it for any length of time. We're just going to go back into that 4-4 breathing. We're not going to rush into the next set. I'm going to breathe in for 4 and out for 4. Nice and relaxed. Make sure that air goes all the way down to the bottom of the lungs. Our belly is nice and soft. Our rib cage is nice and wide. On your next breath out, try that pull up again. And then just let it go. All I want you to do is feel a pull up and a release. And relax. Now that was the diamond pull up. Not everyone's going to get the diamond pull-up. Some of you might be wink and zippers. We're all very different. So let's go through the wink and zip side of things now. So again, you're doing that reset. I want you to think your jaw is nice and relaxed. Your neck and shoulders are nice and relaxed. We're doing a lovely breath in for 4, and our rib cage is going wide and our belly is going soft. And then on that breath out, I want you to imagine, close that anal sphincter, so just your bum hole. It's not a big bum squeeze, and you're pulling forward and up, and then let it go. And then just go back to that normal 4-4 breathing. So in for a count of 4, widen the ribs, soften the belly. Think about all the air going to the bottom of the lungs, and then out for 4 as well. Keep doing a couple of those. So what I generally suggest is after every pelvic floor contraction, you do 2 breath cycles. And a breath cycle is an in-breath and an out-breath. And then try that wink and zip again. And then let it go. So you do a breath in. And then with that breath out, just try that wink and zip. If you feel confident enough and feel brave enough to pop in the chat, are you a wink and zipper or are you a diamond pull-up? I'm a diamond pull-up. I used to be a wink and zipper, but now I find the diamond pull-up a lot easier. Also, don't worry if you don't feel anything. I'm going to run through that one in a moment. So I'm hoping that you felt a little bit of something. So another reason why I've asked you to use a roll-up towel, I want you to sit on it. So sit on it front ways. So imagine perhaps you like this on it. So it's at the front and it's at the back. Wink and zip up, nice. We're all really different. We are all so different with these things. So I want you to have a sit on your towel. Now, if you didn't think you felt something, you're like, I'm not too sure what was going on, this is where the towel comes in. So have a little sit on it. You might feel a bit weird. Position of your legs is whatever is comfortable, but you want the towel to be front to back. Now, we're going to run through that reset again, a little bit harder when we're sat up. I want you to make sure your jaw's nice and relaxed. I want you to make sure your neck and shoulders are nice and relaxed. I want you to go into that belly breathing and sitting. So we're going to breathe in for 4 and out for 4. And when you do that breath in, I don't want you to do any of this. You don't breathe in with your neck and shoulders. Send that air to the bottom of your lungs, make your belly go all nice and soft, and make that rib cage go wide. In breath there, and then the out breath, let it out again, all through the nose. So, depending, we'll do one and then the other because it might feel different here. Let's do the diamond pull-up first. So, we're just going to do a normal in-breath. Air goes down to the bottom of the lungs. We're going nice and wide here. Belly's nice and soft. We're relaxed through our neck and shoulders and our jaw. With that breath out, I want you to pull up. And then I just want you to let go. Go through 2 more breath cycles. So we're doing another lovely breath in. And then breathe out. All I want you to do is, can you feel something? Or all I want you to be aware of is, can you feel something on that towel? It might be minimal. What the towel is doing is making your brain really aware of your pelvic floor. So it's all about that reset first. Relax your jaw, relax your neck and shoulders, make sure you're belly breathing. You need to make sure you need to really make sure your nervous system is nice and chilled before we then try that pull up with that breath out and then let it go again. So when you breathe, think about ribs coming out to the side rather than drawing up. I think a lot of us get into the habit of when we're told to take a big deep breath in, we go and do this. We all do it. This is what we do, is human nature. But I want you to take that big breath in and think of the ribs going nice and wide. We've just done some lovely movement in your rib cage. I know that you've got a bit of movement in there now. So let's try the wink and zippers, because you might be a wink and zipper more than a diamond pull-up, depending on position that you're in. Okay, so we do a lovely breath in. Air goes to the bottom of the lungs, nice and wide. And with that breath out, I want you to try and squeeze that bum hole and pull forward and up, and then let it go. Go into a couple more breath cycles. So just normal breathing, nothing to do with your pelvic floor. Let's ignore that for 2 breath cycles. Let's reset with relaxing our jaw, relax neck and shoulders, breathing through, going all the way through into our rib cage. Relax that tummy. And then with the next one now, let's try and wink and zip with that breath out. And then let it go. Let's try a couple of those. Okay, if it's painful with the towel, take the towel away. Can you still feel something with the towel removed? So what the towel is there to do is not cause pain. It's there to help your brain remember that you've got a pelvic floor and have that engagement with it. So if it's perfect, if you don't need the towel, get rid of it, because if you start to get pain, then what that will do is your brain will go into that panic state and will go, oh, I don't want to use my pelvic floor because it hurts. So we need to get rid of that. So get rid of the towel. So that goes for anybody. Okay, pop a 1 in the chat. Possibly. Yes. I've given a wishy-washy answer, as if it feels sore if you sat on a towel, because I haven't done an internal assessment. But yes, it would do. There's a lady that tells you to sit on a noodle and wiggle around on, and I can't think of anything worse. It just sounds very painful. But pop a 1 in the chat if you felt something, whether it was the pull-up or the let-down. If you felt a little bit of something, pop me a 1 just to let me know. Do excuse me, my insulin pump is having a shout at me. Okay, that's fine. Okay, good. Fab. Oh, loads of stuff coming in. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Don't worry if you don't. This is a really good practice to do, because the towel gives you a bit of feedback, and it's getting your brain to engage with what you're doing. And the biggest problem with our pelvic floor is because we can't see it. It's not like our arm is withered away. Our brain kind of just goes, oh, well, if I can't see it, it's fine. And then we start to get these symptoms. So if you didn't feel something on the towel, this is a really good practice just to try it and see. And it doesn't matter if it was a little bit of a flicker or just a little bit of, you're not too sure, it felt like a bit of something but nothing major. You felt something, and that is the main thing with that one. So I always like to give a little bit of homework, because that's what I do as a pelvic health physio. Your homework, if you want to do it, it's completely up to you, is to try that reset. So I always get people to do this before they do a pelvic floor contraction, and I think this is where a lot of us go wrong before we try and strengthen our pelvic floor, is we don't relax it first. I've spoken a lot about how our pelvic floor is part of our stress response. So if you are stressed and you've had a busy day and you've had a lot going on, and then you think, oh heck, I've got to try and do my pelvic floor, you're trying to contract a pelvic floor muscle when it's already in a contracted position. We need to chill everything out with our nervous system before we even try and engage that pelvic floor. So without that, all the Kegels and pelvic floor contractions in the world are not going to help your symptoms. And then add on it, if you do have a prolapse, if you've got tightness already, that actually pushes down on your prolapse. So this is why a lot of women who have a prolapse say, oh, but I'm doing my pelvic floor exercises and I don't think they're helping. It's because, it isn't always, but the majority of the time, it's because your pelvic floor is already in a contracted position before you even try and then do a pelvic floor contraction. Yeah, my pelvic floor is tight most of the time as well. This is one of the reasons I stress this kind of relaxing. I talk about this a lot in my class. as every morning, getting my daughter ready for school, I fill a water bottle up and I know I'm like this. And I just have to let it go. And the thing that's helped me massively is that 4-4 breathing pattern. And another thing is just continue going, just relax your bum hole, just relax your bum hole, and just softening it. So if the towel underneath helped and you felt something, the more you do that, as long as it's not painful, the more engaged you're going to get with your pelvic floor, the more aware of it you're going to be day to day, so that if you have a moment filling up a drinks bottle in the morning, getting someone ready for school, you'll be able to soften it. Or you're getting stuck in traffic and you're getting a bit worked up, you'll be able to relax it. Or just day to day, it won't permanently be in this kind of tightened position. You'll be able to let it go. And then when it comes to strengthening it, you'll be able to do that reset of relax your jaw, relax your neck and shoulders, go into that 4-4 breathing, make sure you're breathing wide through your ribs, softening your belly, and then be able to do a good quality pelvic floor contraction. I hope that has all made sense. Now, let's move on to a little bit of Pilates stuff now, because we've done pelvic floor, let's do Pilates. So the pessary question is a really good one. If it is a pessary that you can that stays in for that 3 to 6 months, keep it in. If it's a pessary that you use daily for, because you can get ones that you just pop in and out for an activity, take it out. The pessary should sit high enough that it doesn't interfere with a pelvic floor contraction. If you feel that it is getting in the way of your pelvic floor contraction, then it might be that the pessary is not quite sitting in the right place. I hope that's answered the question. Right then, so your pelvic floor is never just your pelvic floor, and it needs stability from your bum and tum, or your abdominals and your glutes. So let's just do a little bit of bum and tum exercise. I am not going to hammer these exercises whatsoever. I want you just to get a bit of body awareness of what your limbs are doing and positioning wise. So if you have a lie onto your back again, I'm going to run you through an exercise called Scissors Level 1. This is an exercise I do in every single one of my Pilates classes because it's such an important one. It may be a level 1 exercise, but it's a really good exercise for making your brain realise that your pelvis and your hip joint are actually 2 different joints. As human beings, we are very lazy. We take the path of least resistance, and we do this without even knowing that we're doing it. So if you'd like to have a lie onto your backs again, please. Pop your head on a little towel. She says, where's my towel? I have to roll it up underneath me. And first off, we're just going to do a little bit of a reset before we get started. So I just want you to start with your knees bent, pop your legs and your feet together, twizzle your toes out so they make kind of a pizza shape, and then pull your heels so your feet, knees and hips are all in line. And then I want you to have a little wiggle of your pelvis. So you're going to tilt it so you flatten your back into the mat, and then you're going to pull it away. And all I want you to do is find your neutral. And so we're all very different, but you definitely want to have a gap between your lower back and the mat. You don't want to just flatten your back down. I know a lot of old abdominal exercises used to be like flatten your back into the bed or the floor. Pull it away slightly. Now, we want to have a little bit of tension in our tummy. So if you imagine you've got a belt on, you've got it on the first notch, but you actually want it on the third notch. So think about those hip bones coming together, and it's just a bit of tension. It's not a big old brace that you can't breathe. You still need to be able to breathe. So we've got a bit of tension in our tummy. Our ribs are soft. So normally we're a bit like this when we lie on our backs. So just try and think about sinking those ribs down, lengthen through your collarbones, lengthen the back of the neck. Relax your arms down by your sides, and that's all just the starting position. We've not even done the exercise yet. So I'll run you through what Scissors Level 1 is. Basically, you do a breath in. On that breath out, you put one leg up into tabletop. Now your tabletop is your knee is above your hip and your foot is in line with your knee. In breath as you bring it back down. Now this is the challenging bit. You very slowly shift the weight from one foot over to the other foot, bringing it back up into that tabletop position without your pelvis moving. So if you think about it, the exercise is just a swapping from one side to the other. However, I want you to imagine that pelvis is in a vice. It's held together, it does not move. So as you come up here with your breath out, in breath as you bring it back down, think about tensing through those tummy muscles to keep this pelvis as still as possible as you swap sides. What I say repeatedly is you cannot do this exercise well if you do it fast. So if you're doing this, your pelvis is going to be all over the place. Even if you're doing the leg part slowly and you do a quick pop over to the other side, you will get a tilt happening on your pelvis. If it helps, put your hands on those hip bones and just see what they do. Now, normally what happens is you'll notice one dips. Keep neck and shoulders nice and relaxed. Keep tensing through tummy. Breath out as you come up. In as you come back down. Slow it down. So this is the mind-body connection. Is my leg in tabletop? Is my knee above my hip? Is my foot in line with my knee? Have my feet gone a bit saggy? Are my feet too high? Just have a bit of a check-in with yourself. What is everything doing? Keep neck and shoulders nice and relaxed. Oh, and breathe. All, just a minor thing. Breath out as you come up. In as you come back down. Keep that tension in the tummy. Okay, let's do one more here. Now all I want you to do really quickly is just straighten your legs out. They might have felt a little bit tight with doing that one. So even though it's a level 1 exercise, to do it well is actually quite tricky and really gets your brain going. Now, bums. What I'd like you to do now is bring your heels, bend your knees, bring your heels close to your bottom. I want you to widen your knees so they're wider than your hips, and then your feet wider than your knees. I had a real big trouble saying that earlier today. I was getting it all confused. So knees are wider than hips, feet are wider than your knees. I did it again. I'm losing the ability to know what body parts are. If you've got a towel, now's the time probably to just move it out of the way. But you want to make sure your neck stays nice and long. If you feel like your chin is poking up towards the ceiling and you can see the wall behind you, pop that towel back, because I just want that neck to be nice and long and not in an awkward position. We're going to go into a bridge. This is one of my favourite bum exercises. It's not a fussy Pilates bridge. It's basically, let's get your glutes working. So bring your heels nice and close to your bottom. If you've got them too far away, these muscles at the back of the leg are going to start working too hard and you'll get cramp. So as you go up, I want you to push your hips up. I want you to put your weight through your heels. Imagine your knees are moving to the wall opposite. So you're going to come up with a breath out and then an in-breath as you come down. And just have a little relax. I'm being kind to you in class. I'll just make you keep going. So breath out as you come up. In as you come back down. Now make sure you push through your heels. Your heels are directly linked to your bum. If you don't know what your bum's doing, poke it. I'm really hoping it goes nice and hard as you push through your heels and lift and bring it back down. If it doesn't, don't worry. If you keep poking it, it just gets your brain really aware that you've got a bum and that it should start working. A lot of this is just waking your brain up and getting the neural pathways going so that your body and your brain kind of work together as one again. That's the whole point of Pilates. So breath out as you come up, in as you come back down. And you will get a little bit of leg action going on with this one as well. But if you don't feel it in your bum, poke it is my biggest thing. Good. And back down. And relax. Okay, have a roll onto your side. And have a slow sit up. Okay, so they were just a few little things. They were just a bit of a whistle-stop tour of what you can do, and just a little bit of homework to start on, really, on how to just start those building blocks of getting stronger. So I'm going to open the floor up if you've got any questions about what we've gone over. If you feel brave enough just to unmute, go for it. If not, pop it in the chat. Silence. Oh. Grade 2. Yeah. Normally, yes. To be perfectly honest with you, when it comes to a prolapse, we never say that it fully goes. And I don't want you to be disheartened by that. What we're aiming for is your symptoms to go. So if you aren't symptomatic and you can do everything you want to do, you're most likely still got a little bit of a prolapse there, but you don't feel it. And it will be because you've strengthened yourself up and you've got stronger and everything else. It's not because you've avoided doing things that aggravate it. So normally, grade 1s and 2s and early stage 3s, we can definitely pull back and get rid of your symptoms. Yes. A lot of prolapses come about because of laxity when it comes to having babies, carrying babies. Blame the children, really. That's what it is. And then adding on losing estrogen, therefore we lose the tone in the muscles, which then increases the laxity as well. But yeah, definitely something can be done, without a doubt. Any more for any more? No problem. Any more silence? No, that's good, that's fine. If you think, oh, no, not really. So a cystocele and a rectocele is pretty much the same. So because of the fact that it pushes into the vagina, really. So if you just treat it exactly the same. So it would be a case of relaxing everything first, like we did, and then trying those pelvic floor exercises, as well as you need to strengthen up around your hips and pelvis, because it all needs to support everything else. It's not just your pelvic floor. You can't heal these symptoms of a prolapse just by strengthening your pelvic floor if you're not doing anything else. You have to get everything working together, otherwise it won't get there. Okay, when we breathe in, I see my stomach balloons out, and when I breathe in, my stomach comes back in. It will do, but what I don't want you to do is push that stomach out. So I don't want you to actively push your stomach out. It should just feel like it's filling up from the inside. Like a balloon, if that makes, yep. And then when you do that breath in, hang on, when you do a breath in, you should feel like that stomach balloons, and when you do a breath out, then yeah, it will naturally draw back in. Yes, at 73, it is possible to reverse a stage 3 cystocele. Again, it's all about your symptoms, whether we fully reverse it so it goes never to be seen again, and when you have an assessment, you never even know it's there. It's all about getting the symptoms under control and you living the life you want to live symptom-free. Or if you do get a symptom, knowing how to get rid of it is the biggest thing. I also find it really hard to relax muscles on my neck and shoulders during the exercises. Still, with all the years I've done Pilates, my neck and shoulders just want to get involved. So why? And it is, I think, years. I think I came out of the womb wanting to overwork my neck and shoulders, and some of them are just like that. So it's all about just keeping everything nice and relaxed. And if you're aware of it, that's half of the problem. So if you know that you overwork your neck and shoulders, just kind of keep reminding yourself to relax them as best you can. It will be an ongoing battle, but you'll get there. Right, so can you go to the gym with a prolapse? Yeah, absolutely. The biggest thing is you breathe properly. So it's all about that diaphragmatic breathing. A lot of women stop lifting weights because they get diagnosed with prolapse, because they get told they shouldn't lift weights with a prolapse. But when you get older, and you're perimenopausal, menopause, and postmenopause, lifting weights is really important because we need to keep that muscle strength. And it's all about how you do it. And it's making sure you breathe. So it's always a breath out with the effort. And make sure you do that diaphragmatic breathing and that breath out. Would I recommend the LV floor trainer? No. Sorry. I think it's a lot of money. So the only time I really recommend trainers is if you don't feel anything at all and you need that stimulation. So if you have been trying to do your pelvic floor, you've been to see a pelvic health physio, and you're like, I'm not getting this, that is when I'd recommend a stim machine, which is what you put in, and it's a bit like a slender tone for your pelvic floor, is the best way to describe it. But instead of you just leave it in there and it does that stimulation and gets it on and off and on and off, you have to work with it. So if you can feel a contraction of your pelvic floor, then I wouldn't recommend the LV, because there's a lot you can do without it. Can you swim with a prolapse? Yes, you can. It's non-weight bearing. It's quite happy swimming, definitely. Right. Thank you very much. Yes. There'll be a recording. Don't worry. 3 times a week. Yeah, it will do. Breathing is a big part of it, and that's where Pilates comes into it, because it makes you so aware of your breathing. And a lot of us used to be taught to lift weights and hold our breath, and that's where this is completely different. Caroline, we've spoken about this before, haven't we? Yeah, so then it completely changes it and changes how you breathe. So as long as you are breathing and doing the out breath with the effort, then yes, definitely. And that's what it's all about, is getting you back there. Can I walk and push pram with a prolapse? Walk, definitely. Pushing prams, now this is where it really, uphill can be a little bit tricky, but generally, yes, you can. Again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. It's all about making sure you're doing that diaphragmatic breathing, and you're making sure that you're sending that air all the way down to the lungs as you're doing it, to keep that pelvic floor engaged and happy and safe, really. So I just wanted to let you know that if you didn't know already, that I am actually starting my pelvic floor Pilates class. Should I lie down when I lift weights? Charlie, do you normally lie down when you lift weights? Or would this be changing things? No, don't lie down when you lift weights. If you feel comfier, sit when you lift weights. I feel I want to unpick that a little bit more. What weights are you doing? What kind of lifting? Have you got a prolapse? All of the above. Okay. Right. So I would just make sure that if they're not that heavy, then when you do the effort, so let's say you're doing kind of like this movement, you want to do that lovely in breath, fill the lungs up, and then breath out, push up. Okay. And is lifting something you want to get back to? Okay. So what I would start with is, if you are fearful, which is understandable because there's all this talk about lifting weights makes everything worse, is I would go through the motions at home of just the arm movements you would do with no weights whatsoever, and practice whenever you do the hard part of the exercise, which is where the muscle will contract, you do that breath out and you do a nice big breath out. What I get my ladies to slowly build up to when it comes to lifting weights, and when they feel confident enough with their pelvic floor contractions, when they do that breath out and their pelvic floor is already quite relaxed, again, we go through that reset of what we've gone through, is you do a pull-up of a pelvic floor contraction with the breath out when you do the effort. But these ladies normally are up to kind of lifting 50 plus kilos, so it's a bigger weight. But I would just practice the breathing with the movement, and then really go back to basics of like, start with like 2 cans of beans. And I know that sounds really lame, but if you are fearful of doing it and you want to get back into it, the biggest thing that will help you will be getting your breathing right. If you get your breathing right, you'll be able to then increase that weight when your muscles are ready, more than anything else. I hope that's helped, Charlie. Reach out if you want any more information about that. I'm more than happy to go over it with you. Any more questions? No problem. Any more for any more? I hope I'll pull up. I find it hard to relax the pelvic floor. Okay, so relaxing your pelvic floor is a tricky one. Going back to diaphragmatic breathing massively helps, hugely. That 4-4 breathing technique will hugely help. I find it easy to do rather than sporadically throughout the day. End of the day, when you're already doing a wind down, to relax it. The more you do it, like with anything, the more you do it, the more your brain will get used to letting it go. I'm very similar to you. My pelvic floor likes to stay tight, it likes to stay on, and I have to really think about relaxing it at times. So work on your 4-4 breathing, especially before you try and do any pelvic floor contraction. So if you know that your pelvic floor likes to be really tight, you need to work on relaxing it a heck of a lot more before you even try and do a pelvic floor contraction, because even if a pelvic floor is tight, it can still be weak. So it's more like work on that relaxing of it before you do a contract. And the more you do it, the more your brain will engage with it, the easier it will be for you to know when it starts to get tight and then how to relax it. Again, reach out if you want any more tips on that one as well. I'm more than happy to throw in a few things that have helped with me. But also, if you feel your jaw is relaxed throughout the day, by relaxing your jaw, because the same nerve is connected to your pelvic floor, that will then relax your pelvic floor as well. I hope that helps. Give it a go. Let me know how you get on. Honestly, let me know. It's been a continual battle that I didn't even know I had a tight pelvic floor until I went into pelvic health, and then everything made sense. So yes, it's something that still works on, and it will get easier. It's just doing it more. A few more questions have come through. Where are you based in the UK? I am in Nottingham. That is where I am. Slightly in the middle, apparently the furthest away from the sea. Okay, so just having a quick read. Last question from me. 3 years ago, birth of second Georgia. Right about prolapse. Okay, really good question. So GP said vaginal laxity, worried about a prolapse, now still have big bulge. Alison, with the big bulge, can you see it, or is it more that you feel it? Have you done an internal on yourself? Is it worth see and feel it? Okay. I won't go to the GP. I think GPs are scared of vaginas, to be honest, from what I found out in the UK and what I've heard. I would go and get assessed by a pelvic health physio, definitely. Just so that you know what you're dealing with. I feel GPs unfortunately don't use the best language, and it really grinds my gears. Pelvic health physios are a lot better, but from what you said, it sounds like it is a prolapse. It's whether or not you're like, okay, I've got a prolapse, but the pelvic health physio will be able to do something about it. If you wanted to have a chat with me, send me an email. We can have a quick chat on the phone about it a little bit more if you wanted to, but send me a message about that one. But I don't bother with the GP. They'll just freak out probably and just send you somewhere you don't need to go. I'd book in with a pelvic health physio to get that diagnosis. All right, any more before we call it quits? I've kept you all. Yeah, you're right. GP probably not good enough. They've come out with some right corkers recently, from what I've heard. Never mind. Any more questions? Everyone happy with all of that one? I'm gonna get this all sent out to you. As always with me, if you have any questions about what we've gone over, please just reach out. That's what I'm here for. I don't want you to feel like you're on your own with any of this. But yes, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you all soon. Take care now. Bye.